So this morning, I think blocks will be useful and maybe a cushion. We're going to do a bunch of spinal movements and some other stuff. So I think let's start off with a little bit of breathing. So if you're comfortable where you are, you can stay there. If you'd like to have a seat on your mat, you could have a seat on your mat. I'm going to have a seat on a block, maybe a couple of blocks here. Once you're in a position where you're comfortable and you can sit up pretty tall, if you would like to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. If you want to keep your eyes open, you can keep your eyes open, but you might bring one hand to your chest. Sorry, I'm going to try not to hit my mic. Maybe one hand to your stomach. And start by just noticing how you're breathing naturally. So you may be able to feel things moving with your hands. You may be able to just sense things moving internally. And once you have noticed just naturally how you're breathing, take a really deep, deep, deep breath in through your nose if possible, but if not, through your mouth. And then just let it out slowly. And that can be through your mouth or your nose. Do that again. And then one more time. And then just see, is it possible to deepen your natural breath just a little more slow and deep than you normally breathe? And you don't have to count. You don't have to obsess or stress over anything. Just deepen your breath a little bit. See if you can breathe a little more slowly. And sometimes people call this global breathing or jellyfish breathing. It's really just a slightly more mindful way to breathe. And as you're breathing like this, you might bring your attention to your body and just notice how your body's feeling. And can you do that without judgment? Can you do that with just a kind of a lens of curiosity? So throughout practice, I'm going to ask you to approach things with curiosity and possibly a sense of wonder if you can muster that. But you might think of an imaginary scenario where your body is brand new to you. You've never had this body before, and you're not sure what it can and can't do. So today, as you practice, can you approach things with that kind of gentle curiosity that is not judgmental, but is just wondering, what can this body do? What can my body do? And rather than looking at things through a lens of what have I done before? What do I expect of myself? What should I be able to do? Just kind of settle into a space of what can I do? And maybe you can marvel at the things that your body can do. you can return to your natural breath. You can let your hands go if they're still in your body, and maybe just gently shake out your arms a little bit here. You might move your neck around a little bit. So we're going to be moving through some stuff with focus on like how our spines move. And our spines are these magnificent architectural structures that assist us in being upright. And one of the things our spine can do is round forward. So maybe try rounding forward. And this is spinal flexion. And your whole spine can do this, and then come up and try a little bit of a back bend. And that is spinal extension. Notice how a back bend feels today. It can just be a small one. Come back to center and try leaning towards one side. This is lateral flexion in your spine. Notice what lateral flexion feels like today. And then come up and try leaning to the other side, which is still lateral flexion. And how does it feel on that side? Maybe it feels a lot different. And let's move through this again. So we'll start with a little cat-cow kind of movement. So rounding forward into what would be a cat or Marjarasana. You might even give yourself a little hug here. Bring your arms around your body. Hugs have been shown in research to be very good for our mental health. And even if the hug is coming from yourself, it can actually do a little bit of good. So maybe come back out of that and come into a little bit of a back bend, your cow or Vitalasana. So again, you're in spinal extension here. And then take your time coming back into flexion for your cat, maybe a hug. And then you might, rather than just going from cat to cow, you might start bringing in some lateral flexion. So really just moving around in a way that feels good. So we can combine these movements. It's not just these four, flexion, extension, and lateral flexion, but maybe you lean forward and move to the side so that you're in two types of flexion. You're in forward and lateral flexion. And another thing we can do is these big arm circles that sometimes bring us into a little back bend. So then if you look at what I'm doing, this is lateral flexion and a little bit of extension. But just really move through what feels good to you today, noticing what can your body do? What can your spine do? How do things feel? A lot of times backs have a lot of feelings, necks and backs. So like imagining that this is the first time you've used this particular body. What can this body do? And how can you stay curious and even marvel at the wonderful things that it can do? Take another few moments finishing that up. And then come onto your back. So have a little lie down on your back when you're ready. Once you're lying down, bring the soles of your feet together and allow your knees to come out to the side, or Supta Baddha Konasana. Press your feet together gently. Your arms can be anywhere you like. Take a few deep breaths, noticing what it feels like as your body presses into your mat, into the floor, or whatever surface you're on. And then place the sole of your left foot on the ground. And what we're doing here doesn't have to be precise. I'm just going to give you some parameters and you can work within those parameters. Your arms can be anywhere. Press through that left foot and maybe press through your right side to some degree. And you might even lift your left hip up off the ground. So you're coming into a little bit of a twist here, initiated from your lower body, a little bit of a spinal twist. And then you can drop that down and switch sides. So your left knee will come down, the sole of your right foot will come to the floor. You press through your right foot to the degree that feels good or useful. You lift your right hip up and then drop it back down. So really you're just rolling over your hips, your sacrum, and you can move at whatever pace feels good to you. And you can lift as high or as low as feels good. So you might not even really lift that hip much at all. You might end up lifting both hips. But see if you can make this feel good. And again, moving at your own pace, rolling over your sacrum, bringing one sole of the foot, the sole of one foot to the floor, and using that for a little bit of leverage as you're coming into the twist. Take your time coming back to center. And then stretch your legs out straight. And stretch up through your fingertips, lift them up overhead to whatever degree feels good. You might rotate your wrists and ankles a little bit. And then bring your arms down to the ground on either side of you and press your forearms into the ground. And notice if your back wants to come into a little bit of a back bend here. If it doesn't, that's fine. If it does, that's fine. If you're in that back bend, lower back down. Try it again. Lower back down. And this next thing you can try, and if you don't like it, you can go back to that rocking from side to side thing. But for this, bring the sole of your right foot down to the ground. Bring your left forearm to the ground and use your right arm to lift you up. So you're on both forearms. Lift your right arm up towards your knee. Stretch it up around in a circle, maybe coming into a little bit of a back bend, and then roll it back down, around, forward, up, back, and around. And you might, the next time you're lifting your arm up towards the ceiling, you might try rolling, pressing through your right foot, rolling your hips over to the side to some degree so that your right hip comes off the floor. So you may be coming into some rotation here. You may be coming into some extension. And then bring your right forearm down to the ground. Stretch your right leg out, bend your left leg, put that sole of that left foot on the floor. And try the same thing, reaching your left arm towards that knee, up, around, and back. A couple of times. You may be coming into some lateral flexion. And then maybe you press through that left leg, lifting your left hip up as you reach. And again, this is not something that is a precise movement. This is just loose parameters that you can work within, skipping things, adding things, but just trying to make this feel good. And again, if you don't like this, if you can't make this feel good, maybe that rocking from side to side, Supta Baddha Konasana that we started with works better for you. Take your time coming back to center.